Run, river, run, run through the hills. Run, river, run to the sea. Run, river, run to your place beneath the sun. Run, river, run over me.
Hi, this is Jan Lewis. Welcome to be my guest. Today we have from Harvard, Massachusetts, we have author Linda Hoffman with us, and she has written a memoir, and it's called The Artist and the Orchard, Old Frog Pond Farm and Studio. Welcome, Linda.
Thank you.
Did you design the cover yourself?
I did not design the cover, but I painted the watercolor.
So that is your artistic bent, the watercolors?
No, mostly sculpture.
Sculpture.
Yeah.
Wow, we should get you on with some of your sculpture. Where are you exhibiting your sculptures?
I am exhibiting right now in Brookline, Massachusetts, which the organization is Studio Without Walls. So it's part of the Emerald Necklace. It's a section of it where there are artists who have been selected to install their work. And so I have a sculpture there.
Is it good?
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. And then there's a large, even larger exhibit at the Edith Wharton mansion, the Mount. And it's in Lenox.
Yeah.
And there's 30 fairly large scale sculptures throughout the grounds. It's just a magnificent place, the landscape.
You're multi-talented.
And so I have a sculpture there, and I also have one I just installed 2 days ago in Jamestown, Rhode Island.
You're getting around, that's good.
Yeah.
Very, very good. I don't know, I know in Westboro there used to be the Artist Gallery, I believe in Westboro. It closed. Some of them are closing because of the funds. They can't seem to get enough funds. I don't know, maybe because of what happened with the COVID and all these things, but you can't bring in enough money. I don't know, but it sounds like you're doing really, really well. Her book, this is terrific. I'm going to read you quickly at the back. The Artist and the Orchard is a story about the gifts and demands of reinvigorating an apple orchard in central Mass, but it's also much more than that. Linda has written a meditation on change and continuity, a spiritual inquiry, and a celebration of both independence and community. Above all, The Artist and the Orchard is a plea for place and an argument for just how essential a sense of it is to the human spirit. How perfect to write. That was by Jane Bronx, author of Silence, A Social History of One of the Least Understood Elements of Our Lives. Are you familiar with this person, Jane Bronx?
I was honored that she wrote that blurb for this book, and I'm familiar with her writing. Her family had a farm in Dracut, Massachusetts, and she wrote a series, three books about that farm and coming back to it later in life, and she's a beautiful writer. So in a certain way, she's an inspiration, Yeah. And then it turned out that my publisher knew her, and I had also a contact with her. We both spoke one time at Fruitlands Museum in Harvard for a conference there.
Have you been to the Worcester Art Museum?
I have, of course. Yeah, it's a great museum.
Did you grow up in Harvard?
No, I grew up outside Philadelphia.
What got you over here?
Got me here. After college, I studied in Japan, in Kyoto. I studied no theater. So this is a 12th century kind of esoteric, beautiful, slow-moving dance drama with mime. And I met the man who became the father of my children there. And then he went back to Cambridge, Massachusetts, and I followed him half a year later.
Do you happen to know Nan Rumpf? She is an artist who does Chinese brush painting. She was just on the show. You've seen Chinese brush painting?
I love Chinese brush painting.
Should get you two connected because
I don't know her. I'm not familiar with her.
You would love to meet her. She's a very humble artist, and what she does is quite amazing. She is really. Now we're talking about The Artist and the Orchard. This is a memoir from Old Frog Pond Farm and Studio, where you live now, right? And
That's
you had your
right.
studio there.
That's right.
Let me see. Goes where? Her first chapter is where are the apples? It's hard to grow apples. How is it hard to grow apples? How? Tell us.
Well, first of all, I decided, without really knowing anything about apple growing, that I was going to grow them organically. And I was bringing back an abandoned orchard. So there were a lot of complications. First of all, not knowing anything,
Yeah, sure.
and then doing it organically. And in a way, apples, we're in the wrong climate for apples, in a sense, just because we have a lot of humidity, and so we have many more fungal issues to deal with than, say, growers in Washington State, where they're growing. And we have a lot more pests, it turns out. I've spoken with other growers, like in California. And,
Yeah.
so there's a lot of challenges. It's like, it's such an old fruit, and the insects, like, have it down. They know,
Yeah.
like...
Do you go to farmers markets and participate in those?
Not often. We do much more selling from our farm. We have a small self-serve farm stand, but in the fall we have a lot more pick your own. Right now we're doing pick your own strawberries, but in the fall we have a fall crop of raspberries, and we have apples. And
You know, there's a lot of families out there that are, let's say, food challenged. Do you ever donate to the food pantry?
We do,
You
all the time.
Really important.
yes,
Yeah, definitely.
yes,
Because,
absolutely.
in the food pantries, mainly if you go in there, all they have mostly is canned goods or boxed goods. And you can't tell me that's super healthy. No.
No.
No. I was
No.
with a friend years ago, and I went with her, and I checked the bottom of one of the canned goods. I said, this is like, what, a year or two out of date? Canned? So I went to the volunteer sitting there, and I said, you can't do this. She says, well, beggars can't be choosers.
No.
I
That's
froze.
really...
I reported her
Shocking.
to,
Wow.
well, this church, the other church. I got the word out. That can't happen. You can't do that.
No.
No, you have to check, you got to check the expiration date. They're lucky nobody got carted off to the emergency room, because this was, you could even see the top of the can was, starting to bubble up. Oh. But Linda lives right on the farm. Where is the Old Frog Pond Farm? Where is it in Harvard? What street?
We're on Eldridge Road, and that is close to the center of town, right near Route 495, right south of
So
495.
that's not too bad. That's not too far.
Well, south of Route 2 and 495.
How long did it take you to get here?
About 35 minutes.
Okay, we're in Upton, so 35 minutes is terrific.
Yeah,
And you came down 495,
I did.
and there was an accident. And she's still early. She did really, really great.
Yeah.
And when you were driving, did you get hit with the rain?
A little bit of rain, but not too much. And as an orchardist, as a farmer,
Yeah.
we need rain right now. We have not had much rain.
No, I was glad to see it, although I don't like to get caught in it. Diesel, daughter, and raspberries. What's that?
So that's chapter 2.
Yeah.
And when I first came and toured the farm with a realtor, we went into the chicken coop, which had some 40 old hens, and it was funny. I was like looking at them, and I said to the realtor, well, what are they going to do with all these chickens? And he said, why? Would you want them? And I was like, maybe. And I decided, and they left the chickens. And they also left a tractor on the other side of the chicken coop. And I thought, oh, I won't need that. But of course I did.
Yeah.
And I needed to learn to drive a tractor and how to use it. And diesel was because the first time I had to fill the tractor,
Yeah.
I was like carrying this, I don't know how many gallons is
Yeah.
in it, 25 gallons, and it was so heavy, and trying to climb up on the wheel and then squeeze the nozzle and get that diesel into the tank and undoing it at the same time. I mean, I didn't know what I was doing. I was so over my head. So that was diesel. Daughter was an invasive vine growing in the raspberry patch that needed to be pulled, and it's this vine that twirls itself around the canes, and then it suctions onto the raspberry canes and lifts off from the ground and lives as a parasitic vine.
Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. And we just had to pull it and bag it and take it actually to the landfill because I had to get rid of the seeds.
Yeah, definitely. Now, you mentioned that you were in Japan. How long were you there?
I lived there for 2 years.
What did you think of it?
I loved it. I loved it. It really, it formed my aesthetic, I think, as a writer and as an artist. And I'm even wearing something from Japan.
I noticed the kimono.
Yeah, it's a kind of like kimono top.
Yeah.
But this is actually old, and it would have been a woman farmer's jacket that would have been clothes like that and belted, and then some loose pants of the same fabric.
Mm-hmm.
This is indigo dyed.
It looks too good to be used outside. I have a friend, an old high school friend, and she has been living in Japan for years. She's a teacher. She seems to absolutely love it. She watches the show. Once you're on YouTube, you're everywhere. She watches it in Japan. And I get little letters from her once in a while or an email. And she's out there working in some sort of a garden. She showed me that. She loves it. I don't think she's ever going to come back to the States. I really don't.
Right. I mean, I wondered if I would have.
Yeah.
But I fell in love.
But what brought you to Kyoto?
Because I was given a Watson Fellowship, which was a fellowship, and my proposal was to study the No theater. I have been doing mime, a lot of mime theater, mime, and whiteface. And the No theater uses a lot of mimetic movements, and they're very beautiful. Like there's a sort of weeping where your hand is moving like that. And so because the No combined sort of dance, poetry, and mime, I thought that would be really wonderful to study. And it also expresses really kind of deep emotions, and it's a spiritual art form too. So I went and I studied it for those 2 years.
That's awesome. Did you take your children with you, or they weren't around yet?
They were not around yet.
What did they think of your book?
My daughter, I mean, I think they all have different reactions, but I was really very touched. My daughter read it, and she said, "Mama, I'm so proud of you."
Yeah.
Which was really sweet.
We've been talking with Linda Hoffman, and she's the author of her memoir, The Artist and the Orchard, and this is Old Frog Pond Farm and Studio. Where can they get a hold of your book?
The book is available at your local bookstore, and it's also online.
And you brought an extra copy.
And I have a copy.
Putting it downstairs in the...
And I will put this copy downstairs.
Downstairs in the Upton dedicated local authors section.
Which is great. Yeah.
Great. They surprised me with that.
But I also, you found out about me because I gave a reading at Tide Pool Bookstore in Worcester. And that is a wonderful bookstore.
Yeah, I saw it in the Sunday paper or something that you were going to be there.
Okay.
I couldn't be there that day, but I wanted to connect with you.
And I know Tide Pool has plenty of copies, and they're all signed.
There you are. How about that? Where's the place where you've sold the most so far?
I don't really know. But it could be the Silver Unicorn bookstore in West Acton, just because it's the bookstore, the independent bookstore that's closest to me.
Silver
I
Unicorn.
know so more people in that area.
The Silver Unicorn, that one, I know so many of them, but that one just didn't ring a bell.
There's also online, of course.
It's also online too.
Yeah, bookshop.org and Amazon.
This is so cool, The Art of Growing. A Fungus Among Us. What's that one about?
A Fungus Among Us. That is another chapter on related to taking care and growing apples. So, interweaving, the book interweaves or braids personal backstory and personal story and my own development and art with growing apples. And A Fungus Among Us is about dealing with one of that fungal issue that I mentioned.
Yeah.
And it's called scab, and you have to spray for scab. And so I had to get a sprayer, and I had to learn what materials I could use that were going to be organic, meaning non-chemical, and keep those apples, those baby little apples, protected every time before it rains.
Interesting. I know nothing about gardening. I could do an indoor plant. Outside, not so much. Wilderness and Zen Training. What's that?
Wilderness and Zen Training. Well, I'm a student, a senior student at Zen Mountain Monastery in Mount Tremper, New York, and I in that chapter, it's about how I first went to Zen Mountain Monastery, which it was actually difficult because I had seen advertised a retreat for wilderness, camping, art, and Zen, and there are 3 subjects that really interested me. Zen from my time in Japan. And I called up and said I wanted to register for the retreat, and they were like, no, have you taken our introduction to Zen Training? And I hadn't. They said, well, you can't go on the retreat till you've done it. And I couldn't, I couldn't manage to get free time to do it before the wilderness retreat. And I was just so determined. I'm not usually like that, but I just was determined to go on this retreat. And finally the person on the phone said, well, you can call back in 10 days and talk to one of the teachers, which I did. And I was just very persuasive. And he let me go on the retreat. And that was my introduction to Zen Mountain Monastery. And he is now my teacher and continues to be. And this is almost 20 years later.
Wow. It must have been a fast 20 years to go by, right? Did you know that over in Grafton, I can't think of the name of it, Grafton is like right next door.
Yeah.
And they have it's like a monk's monastery for meditation, the public can come. Have you been there?
I have not been there.
You'd enjoy it. I cannot think of the name of it, but it's in Grafton.
Okay.
It's definitely a monk Zen type of place, and it's up in the woods. There's something else that interests me, too. I don't know if you've seen this about, they have things called tree meditation groups, and I love trees, and I haven't done it yet. You know how you can just sit there and the trees like talk? Not talk, but I mean
you can listen. You can listen to trees. Yeah.
Now they have those type of classes. I think this is fantastic.
At that place in Grafton?
Wait a minute. No.
Or somewhere
this is a thing called toadstool meditation type of thing. I get it on my email all the time.
Oh, I'm not familiar with
they're not too far
it.
for me to go.
We do have meditation 3 mornings a week at our farm.
Yeah, you do?
And
what time?
Well,
don't teach 7 a.m.
Very early, yeah.
No. Well, no, I'm still in La La Land at that time of the day. Are you an early bird?
I am very early. I mean, I get up with the birds. So
what time
right
do you
now,
go to bed?
the birds get up at 4:30, and so do I.
Well, what time do you go to bed?
I try to go to bed early.
Like 9?
Well, 9:30.
That's when that chunk of the great TV shows are. Now I'm working on my computer.
No, I have to force myself to go to bed early if I'm going to be able to get up early.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Again, we're talking with Linda Hoffman, and she's the author of this book, The Artist and the Orchard. This is about Old Frog Pond Farm and Studios right over in Harvard. Tell us again, how can they go find you? How can they find you?
We have a website, oldfrogpondfarm.com. And so that is probably the easiest way. We have a lot of different activities. We have sacred fires, we have pick your own, we have a small farm stand. And so you can go on our website and then sign up for our newsletter. I also write a blog, Apples, Art, and Spirit. And so that's a little different than the farm newsletter, a little more personal. And so
people subscribe to your newsletter online?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Well, that's through the website.
Oh, the website.
Either the farm website, which is oldfrogpondfarm.com, or lindahoffman.com. And both of those are kind of connected.
So is the subscription, it's an online magazine type of thing?
No, a newsletter.
So you get it in your mail?
Yeah,
Oh,
in your
the
inbox.
regular mail?
No. It's online.
Oh,
Sorry.
yeah. Okay, because there's snail mail and then there's the other kind.
Right. It's
Is
online.
it like a monthly fee or a week?
No charge.
No charge, okay.
No.
Now, we're looking at another chapter here. I think this is adorable. Art in the orchard. I love it. Do you do a lot of your art there?
We have in the fall every year an outdoor sculpture exhibit at the farm. And so usually between 20 and 30 sculptors bring their work, and I curate it around the farm.
Mm-hmm.
And so then the visitors who come have this wonderful experience of going around the pond and through the woods to see all the sculpture.
What kind of sculptures do you do?
What do? I do very different kinds of sculpture. Some I will use old agricultural farm implements and create different sculpture. I also recently did a giraffe, a young giraffe. This is in bronze, riding on the back of a turtle, a large sea turtle.
Yeah.
And so these are two endangered species that are rescuing humans, because on the back of the giraffe and on the back of the turtle are all these small figures of human beings.
Sounds like Noah's Ark.
It's a little bit Noah's Ark in reverse.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because it's the animals, though, even though we have destroyed their habitat, they still want to rescue us.
Did you have any idea, Linda, when you were in school, high school, whatever, that you would be a writer?
No, I was doing more art then.
You were the art.
So-
Did you major in art in college?
I did.
Me too. Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
And I think that it's just been a journey to find, in a way, my medium. And it turns out that I use different mediums depending on what I want to express.
Did you have, in your art teachers in college, were they rigid or did they encourage people to see things a different way?
My art teachers in college, well, I went to Bryn Mawr College,
Where is
small college in Bryn Mawr, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And it was not a place that really promoted the arts. It was a much more intellectual environment. And so at Bryn Mawr, there was really only one art teacher. And then I would take classes at Haverford College. And the one teacher at Bryn Mawr was completely supportive of me doing really whatever I was interested in, and I created sort of my own projects, and it worked out really well.
You're fortunate.
I was very
I did not
fortunate.
run into that. No, and I quit her class too because I could see that this woman doesn't understand artists. Why is she teaching art? She had a big plant up on a table or something, and she says, "I want you guys to." I was 101 and just to sketch it, draw it, you know. And I thought, okay, fine. I'm more of an abstract artist. I could care less about a lot of. So I did mine, and she came over and she said, "Is there something wrong with your eyes?"
Oh my God, that's terrible.
What she wanted.
Sorry to hear that.
She could have said, "Jan, that's an interesting take. Can you try this?" And then show all the veins in the leaf and do it with detail. Then I would have gotten it. I quit. I said, "This gal is off the rails."
Well,
You don't
that's too
say
bad.
that to an author.
No.
No way. She was very, very elderly, set in her ways, and she wanted it done her way, and I wasn't going to fit in that day.
Well, I did take classes at Haverford College, and they were all from the model. So it was very traditional.
Yeah.
You were either drawing or you were sculpting clay from the model. But then what was so fascinating is at one point when I started using wax and casting into bronze, I started making small figures. And it was like it came back to me, 25 years later, like I understood how to do the figure from that time in college.
Yeah, you're lucky. You're lucky you had such a good experience.
Yeah.
So you went to college in Pennsylvania, and then you came up this way. Well, you went to Japan after that.
I came here via Japan.
Via Japan.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Again, we're talking to Linda Hoffman. Linda, what's this Naked to the Core? Orchard Earth. What was that all about?
Naked to the Core. That's a more serious chapter. I had 10 years ago, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And so I've written it in a way that kind of ties it into the orchard. But I definitely talk about, my process. I had every treatment you could have.
Chemo too?
Chemo and radiation. And
Are you free now?
So yeah.
That's great. My husband...
One never knows, right?
I know. My husband was diagnosed, thank God, early with colon cancer. They got it, the operation, then they went through chemo, and so far so good. I think he's got, 2.5 more trips just to go, the follow-ups, the blood work, you know the drill. Dana-Farber, everything, and so far he's doing good.
That's wonderful.
And I hope, how long has it been since you...
For me, it's been 10 years.
Oh my God, you should be fine then, right? Oh, you're an inspiration. Did you tell me your book was like, that's good. I didn't make it to that chapter. That is good. If we have survivors out there, breast cancer, please read her book because she is a power of example. Let me tell you, we've got about 4 minutes left. What was your favorite chapter in this book?
My favorite chapter?
Yeah, it's on the first page.
I have never had that question before.
Orchard Mandela, that sounds artsy.
You know what I put in here that I loved was a chapter about my mother, because she was such an important influence in my life and a support. So I know we don't have much time, but she never went to college and went as an undergraduate when I was 9 and my brother was 6. And she continued through and received a PhD in anthropology the year I graduated from high school.
Wow.
And then, but in order in anthropology to write your dissertation, you need to do field work, and she did field work in New Guinea.
Oh.
And I went with her there. So you can imagine my mother was not your typical mother, and she wasn't on the front stoop waiting for me to come home from school, and she wasn't baking cookies, but she gave me like the confidence in myself and supported me.
She's just like my mother. My mother, I would sweat over something. I couldn't decide what to do as a kid. Should I do this? She said, Jan, sometimes a decision is better than no decision at all. In other words, shooting me the freedom to make it, and if it doesn't work, you move on.
Right.
That was her. That was
That's wonderful.
And she used to say, this too shall pass. She'd quote this to me. Do we have, before we close, Linda, do we have any other books coming up in the future?
I don't know. I'm always writing, so I imagine so.
Definitely. And then you can get her in a free subscription for her online newsline or Newsmax. What would you call it? A letter?
Well, there's a newsletter
Yeah.
from the farm and a blog that's more personal from me.
Sounds awesome. It's been great to have you. Finally meet you. And I love her book. Go down the stairs to the Upton Town Library, pick up a copy, and to buy a copy at all the local stores. Where are you appearing next?
I'm not even sure, honestly.
That's okay. We'll still find you.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time and be my guest.
Riding on a shooting star, heading out toward a dream. Tomorrow's even closer than it seems.